Hello and welcome to PhDtalk. My name is Miriam and I'm the host in this podcast where I interview PhD students to let them talk about their topics and struggles and joys, and where me and others share tips with you to make your life as a PhD student more effective, less stressful, and most importantly, more fun. Hello and welcome to today's episode. Today I'm speaking with Courtney Herms. Courtney is a PhD student at the University of Copenhagen in the field of microbiology. But that is not the only reason why I reached out to her. I reached out to her because she is very active on social media, especially on Twitter. And I wanted to hear her thoughts on science communication in the digital world, and maybe hear if she can inspire me and you about using social media for science communication. We will talk about how she got into using Twitter, what she uses it for, the benefits that she sees, but also the downsides. So if you have ever thought about using Twitter for science communication or networking, then this episode might be for you, and it might give you an easier start and lower your mental barrier of entering. And I hope you enjoy listening to today's episode. If you have any questions or comments, then feel free to reach out on social media. And yeah, I hope you enjoy today's episode. And let's talk science. Hi, Courtney.
Hello.
Thank you for inviting me to your office.
Yeah, well, glad to have you here.
Would you like to start with introducing yourself a little bit, like where you come from career-wise, and a bit about your background?
Yeah, sure. So I have a background in microbiology, and I'm still studying microbiology. But I did my bachelor's in the United States and then moved here to the University of Copenhagen for my master's in biotechnology, and wrote my thesis here at the Department for Plant and Environmental Sciences, looking at the diversity of bacteria that live in soils. And now I am doing my PhD in the same group, kind of in the area of microbial ecology. So looking at why certain bacteria live in certain niches and produce certain compounds. And hopefully, to use this information to make better agricultural decisions in farming.
Okay, so to influence the bacterial community in the way.
Yeah, exactly.
Like how we manage this one.
Yeah. So, of course, plants depend on their microbiome as much as we depend on our microbiome for a lot of important functions to digest foods and protect themselves from bad bacteria. So we hope to better understand the interactions that are going on in the soil so that maybe we can influence these bacteria to help the plant grow even better.
Okay. Towards more sustainable agriculture.
Yeah, exactly.
Eventually.
Yeah.
Okay, nice, interesting. So that's not what we wanted to talk about today, like in a more broader sense, but we wanted to talk about social media.
Yes.
Because you are quite active on especially Twitter and LinkedIn. Would you like to tell us a little bit, like, what brought you to doing this in the first place as a scientist?
Yeah, I think a lot of people these days are hearing from counselors, career advice, just get on, LinkedIn and Twitter and these things. And I heard the same, especially for LinkedIn, growing up, doing my bachelor's, even as early as then. Oh yeah, you need to have a LinkedIn profile. It's good for the job hunt and it's good for networking. You just have to do it. So that's just how I got started, just hearing from mostly career counselors. I think it's just something you needed to do for your career.
Okay.
Yeah, but I only really got into Twitter kind of when I started my PhD, so about a year ago, mostly hearing about it from other postdocs and professors here in my lab and in my project, also saying that it's good for my career, but it was also a good place to interact with the scientific community as a whole and get new ideas and see the newest papers that were coming out. So I felt a little bit more drawn to Twitter than LinkedIn already from the beginning. Okay, so you started with Twitter because it felt closer to what you wanted to do. Yeah,
what you wanted to see.
For sure. I think LinkedIn for me was always very boastful and only people posting about, their big career accomplishments and promotions. And it was a bit of a fake feeling, Okay. Social media can feel very fake these days. And LinkedIn definitely felt that way from when I first started that account. But when I got on Twitter, it was much more people making jokes and complaining about experiments that have gone wrong, and that kind of environment where it was much more casual seemed a lot more fun to be a part of.
Okay. And maybe also the barrier is a little lower. It doesn't feel like, okay, I have to be all about my career and all about my achievements, but I can post or tweet also other things, right?
Yeah, for sure. And you can just be yourself a little bit more. Like, I've definitely tried writing a LinkedIn post, and it takes 30 minutes to think of exactly how you should word everything and how perfect it should be. But on Twitter, I just kind of keyboard smash until something comes out, and then I just go with that.
Okay. How did you get started? Like the first tweets?
Yeah, it was definitely still a little bit of a learning curve. I think I was very nervous from the LinkedIn days, it has to be perfect. Like, I need to write exactly the right thing, and everybody needs to think it's funny or good content or whatever. So it definitely took me, I think it was like a solid month before I even sent my first tweet, just out of pure nerves. So it was a lot of just stalking people in the beginning, finding people that I knew from either here at the lab or from papers that I've read, or even just people who are tweeting about fun science facts. So I get a lot of cool stuff about space every once in a while, and it's nice just to see that every once in a while. But yeah, a lot of stalking, a lot of just figuring out what people do on Twitter, and kind of figuring out who I wanted to be on Twitter, because of course, you kind of need this persona that you're going to show to the world. And I think it did take a minute for me to realize, like, okay, I'm just going to be a PhD student who is doing her best out there in the world of research and keeping it casual, but still really engaging in the science discussions and being a part of that. So once I kind of got my footing, so to speak, on who I was and who I wanted to be on Twitter, then I made my first tweet, and then I was like, okay, that wasn't so scary. It wasn't so bad at all. And then it just came super easy after that.
Okay, so it can make sense to maybe start more in a passive way, right? More consuming, more seeing what other people do, figuring out, is this something that I would also like to tweet about? Or is that something that I wouldn't feel comfortable with tweeting, right? And then finding your niche, defining your niche, not necessarily in a very structured and paper-based
No,
way,
certainly not, but just experiencing how it is on the platform, and even deciding if it's something that I wanted to do. Of course, I was being told, you should be on Twitter and stuff, but I was like, okay, am I really wanting to commit to doing this? I used that first month or so to really think and see if this was going to be something useful for me.
Okay. What's your first tweets about? What were they about?
Oh gosh, I think I was going to an event about innovation in the university system, how we can, spin out our ideas into companies and into innovative ideas. So I just wrote a tweet, I'm at this cool event. Nice to see how we can, transform our research ideas into, tangible solutions, something like that.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of where I do most of my tweeting from, is cool stuff that I'm doing relating to my research, whether that's workshops or courses that I'm on, or conferences, live tweeting about the talks that are being given, linking to papers that the presenters have published, just so that other people who aren't in these events can maybe pick up something interesting or learn something new. I've certainly found cool papers or even conferences or workshops on Twitter because people are writing about them.
Okay.
And then it's a nice way to follow along and learn something new that you wouldn't have known before.
Okay. So it could be if I get started, I could also tweet about the things that I do anyways, right? So it's not like I have to create actually an idea in my head that I'm going to this conference, so I'm tweeting about the conference, or I'm hearing this talk, I'm going to this course. So that could also be some easier tweets, right?
Absolutely. I mean, and now to this day, I really only tweet random things that come to my head, honestly. I'm not a planner. I'm not a social media star by any means. I just honestly say what comes to my mind. If it's something funny that has happened in the lab or something really good that's happened in the lab, that's also really nice to share and, feel a sense of accomplishment. By being recognized by other people, saying that they're happy for you and that something worked out. But it's also just as important for me, at least, to also say like, oh man, I really screwed up this experiment this week. Like all that work down the drain, like man, life. So it's a nice place just to honestly be myself about it. And yeah, no planning for me really. Of course, maybe if I want to be a little extra funny, I'll think about, oh, maybe I should write it this way or make a joke like this. But I think it comes pretty naturally to me.
So now you are also tweeting about what you do in the lab, like talking about methods that you use, or how do you tweet about what you do in the lab?
Really all over the place. So we just got these new little boxes for growing some of our plants from a collaborator in the US, and made a tweet about how we're doing the first trials with these boxes. And a ton of people have come back, oh, please, like, keep us updated how they're growing. Like, we also want to try using these. Like, it would be really nice to see how these plants grow, so that they maybe can use the same setup. So that's also, one way to do it, I suppose. Yeah. I don't know. I lost my train of thought there.
When you're tweeting, do you think about someone who you're addressing, or you just...
Yeah.
Like, it's more the scientific community, you said, right? So it's not primarily public engagement with laymen or lay people, right? It's more among people doing similar science.
Yeah,
maybe, right?
For sure.
Yeah.
I think you can definitely expand out into the public, and maybe at some point when I have a bit more influence and more important things to say, perhaps I would like to take that route. But right now it's definitely intra-scientific community for me. Yeah. And that's also where I get the most out of it, because I do need help in the lab sometimes. And yeah, I can ask, million, I don't know how many people are on Twitter these days, but I can ask a huge community of scientists across the world, I'm sure somebody has had this exact same problem, and chances are, I can get a good solution from somebody in the scientific community that I'm engaging with. Okay.
So you're also asking questions about something when you're
stuck or something? All the time.
Okay.
And it's super nice way to solve problems and also get new ideas. Because, of course, people are doing things differently all over the world. And just because we do it one way here doesn't mean it's the best way. So it's just nice to get other perspectives or other expertise. I've just started doing a lot of microscopy, and we have great collaborators here at KU, but maybe they are not so much on the microbiology side of it. So I recently asked for some help about some stains for biofilm formation, and got some really nice suggestions from people who are doing more microbiology microscopy. And that was not something that I could have gotten just by walking down the hallway here.
Yeah, true. Yeah. So that's maybe something, the primary reasoning is always like, you gotta go on Twitter because it's good for your career. And then maybe the first thought is, maybe I get a job offer. Maybe I get, I don't know, someone sees me and offers me a job, like along those lines, or I'm favored when there is a promotion or a new job. But then actually it's also very practical, right? The career steps are actually not very often.
Yeah.
Are there every other year or something, or even less frequent. Yeah. But then these are like quick
little steps along the way.
Benefits.
Yeah, that add up. Also a lot with the bioinformatics. I get a lot of help from people that I've met at like conferences and stuff, and then we stay connected over Twitter. And I remember, he had this really nice figure on his poster. I'm going to write him a message on Twitter and be like, can you maybe help me make a similar image based on, my results? And they're always more than happy to say yes.
Okay.
It's all about the little steps as well. Not to say that I also have gotten job offers on Twitter already, and I'm not even finished with my PhD. So it's definitely also very true that it's good for the long-term career progressions as well.
Okay. Yeah. So you've also got a job offer.
Yeah.
LinkedIn.
From Twitter.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Wrong universe. Yeah.
I feel, and maybe other people will say the same, that Twitter is a bit more for like the academic sphere, and those were postdoc job offers and also one spin out industry job. But Twitter is kind of more the academic side of science, where LinkedIn is a bit more industry, corporate life. And I think that's reflected pretty well in how people use the platforms.
Okay. Let's see. And then you're talking about that you also get response from other people. Like, how do you engage in conversations? I mean, now we talked about how you go out into the world, and how do you, on the other side, respond to somebody else's tweets, like the starting a conversation or adding to someone else's?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's super important to be part of the conversation, because you can't just, ask questions and expect always to get answers. You also have to contribute, something. And I try and do my best to always answer if there's something that I can. Mostly it's just maybe commiserating with somebody who's had a really bad day also in the lab. I've been there, and it's nice to just, reach out a supportive hand and be like, yeah, I know how you feel. We'll get through this kind of mentality. But also, of course, answering questions on stuff that has maybe worked for me, both in the lab and also kind of on the personal side of being a PhD student, how to balance work life and how to be an international student. That's also a huge area that I like to help out in, because I have moved to Denmark from the US. So yeah, just helping out with my own personal story, I think, can be a nice way to interact with people and just show that, I'm a person too.
Yeah, true. Yeah, I guess that's that's why it's called social media, right? We can be a person on top of the scientist.
Yeah.
And it's not just the papers that we write.
Exactly.
And when you're tweeting, do you have a routine, or do you do it frequently, or do you block time, or does it more come like naturally? You like, okay, maybe today and not tomorrow?
Totally randomly. I mean, I do try and stay on top of like the conferences and the workshops and the courses. Then I will definitely, know that I'm going to be tweeting for every talk and for every, presentation. But on my normal daily life, it's very much as the time comes. When something is interesting or fun or just exciting, then I'll maybe think about writing a tweet for it. But if it's not something that I immediately want to share or think is a good addition to the timeline, then maybe I won't. But I'm very much just do as it feels right. Okay. And I think the most important thing is just doing it in a way that makes it feel the easiest for you. And that's how it is for me, just to not spend hours, planning my tweet schedule and, putting a lot of time and effort into it, because it's not something that I will enjoy doing.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. And then maybe the trade-offs are also too great. I don't know how you feel that it takes a lot of time away from you, but if it comes naturally, then maybe it doesn't so much. Yeah.
You can definitely easily get kind of pulled into the whole social media lifestyle.
Never stops.
Yeah, exactly. But I think if you just use it as kind of a supplement to, your normal networking and dissemination, responsibilities as a scientist, then I think it can fit into daily life without being either huge distraction or a huge burden.
Okay. Do you think that there's a downside to it? I mean, you already said that the time is not really a problem, or the motivation is not really a problem if it comes naturally after some time.
Yeah.
But do you feel that there's any downsides, or not really?
Oh yeah, of course. I mean, we can't be on social media without somebody starting a crazy fight, right? And that definitely happens on Twitter. When you have that anonymity of being behind a screen, you get some nasty sides of people. I think on science Twitter, it's definitely a lot less. Thankfully, okay. We're a pretty civilized group of people. But it definitely still comes out when people have really bad takes on things. Then it can break out into some, nasty fight. But it's also really easy to stay out of it and just ignore whatever is going on. And that's kind of my approach, because I don't want to get involved in fights or people being rude. It's just, it's not pleasant for anybody involved. So I try and stay away from that. And it's pretty easy. But there's also a little less obvious difficulties of being on Twitter, where you can deal with really, really overly aggressively positive people, or really overly ambitious who make you feel bad about yourself because they're publishing their 12th Nature paper in their PhD, and I'm sitting here with my one review article and I'm like, oh my God, I'm so behind. And, You hear all of these really amazing people doing really amazing stuff, which can be super motivating and nice, but you also have to make sure that you are recognizing your own accomplishments and achievements and not comparing yourself constantly to everybody that you're seeing on your Twitter timeline. I've definitely struggled with that. I'm naturally comparing myself to others. Like, that's my personality.
I guess it's human too.
Yeah, for sure. So, it can be a bit difficult, to understand the differences of where we come from, both, in lab funding. Of course, we don't have the same amount of money as huge labs in other places. So that also plays a role. And my own motivations for why I'm doing a PhD are different from others. So just trying to take a step back every now and then and think that, okay, my experiences are different than everyone else's, and I shouldn't compare myself to, somebody who's just writing all their positive experiences in paper publications and grant fundings and everything.
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's probably very likely also people who only post about the good things, right? Yeah. And the bad days don't appear on Twitter, right?
Exactly.
So it's all shiny.
That kind of fake persona. But weirdly enough, on the other side, you get people who will only post really negative things as well. And then you're surrounded by this, kind of really negative energy, especially I think kind of in the early career PhD stage, where, also a little rightfully so, complaining a lot about working conditions and, the struggles and the difficulties of getting into academia and staying there. And that can also be just as hard to be surrounded by, because it can be very demotivating when, everyone is saying how much it sucks to be a PhD student, to be in academia. Like, I know, but I also enjoy a lot of parts of it. So to only hear the really negative things can, I think, be just as damaging as only the positive things. Yeah, true. It can also pull you down, right? Yeah. Exactly. That makes sense, yeah. I guess the good thing about Twitter is that other than in actual conversations, we can just leave the room, basically, right? Yeah. We can decide what to read. Exactly. And what not to read, what to react to, what not to react to. Yeah. And just, finding those people who are going to make a good impact on your time on Twitter is really important. I know a lot of the people I follow personally through conferences and, the project that I'm on. And so, of course, I know that they are good people and people that I want to be interacting with. But it definitely, take a minute to scroll through somebody's feed before you hit that follow button. Otherwise, you're going to be regretting it later on. Just trying to find, supportive people to surround yourself with. Yeah, makes sense. Yeah. And if someone would like to start getting on social media, do you have advice for someone who would like to? Yeah, just go for it. Yeah. I don't think you need to overthink it or put a lot of pressure on yourself to get started with it. Just go make an account, try it out, send your first tweet, and just learn by doing what feels right to you. Because not only will that make it more enjoyable for you, but it will also make it more sustainable, something that you can do over a long period of time, which is, of course, where you get the most benefits from it. So just play around with it, find out what works for you. And if it doesn't, then delete your account. There are plenty of people having huge success in making connections and having a great scientific network without Twitter. So if it's something that you enjoy doing and you think will bring positivity into your life, then go for it. But otherwise, I don't think you should worry too much. Yeah, I see. Okay. Is there anything else that you would like to share? Any other thoughts you have about Twitter or social media? I think I'm just happy for it because, and you can ask anybody in my lab about how much I'm trying to also get them on Twitter, just because to feel a part of the scientific community has honestly like helped so much with like my mental health and approach to being a scientist. Like I really feel like I can do this. Like I am a scientist. People like follow me on Twitter because I'm a scientist. Like almost helps with the imposter syndrome a little bit.
Okay.
Just being surrounded by everyone who, thinks the same, not thinks the same, but like who is in the same environment as you, researching the same things. That's just a bunch of nerds hanging out online. Like,
yeah.
I think it's been a positive addition to being a PhD student for me.
Yeah, true. I mean, it can also be some sort of a community, right? Yes, it's virtual, but still it can feel comfortable and comforting.
Yeah, for sure. And if you get in a niche enough, research area, you'll definitely start running into the same people over and over again. And having, Twitter to keep in touch with them in between all the conferences and workshops and stuff, it really just kind of helps bring you guys together again when you do meet, in person.
Yeah. Yeah, sure. Makes sense. Do you think you have collaborated with someone because of Twitter, or is that you're in your first year?
Maybe a bit too early to start. But I've definitely, I've had people approach me on Twitter for like collaborations or because they're interested in something that we're working on. But I'm just a first year PhD student, so it's kind of up to my supervisor and the project and our needs on who we can work with and stuff. But, I can definitely see myself, having my own research group and building on a lot of these connections and collaborations and, writing grants together with people that I've only communicated with on Twitter.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a good foundation, yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe it feels less of a clear cut when we finish our PhDs because we kind of are in the network and the network doesn't stop just because we submitted our thesis, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And I've had such a great chance to interact with, of course, other PhD students, but also postdocs and professors and, retired professors and the whole age range, right, on Twitter, from early career to very established researchers. Everybody's, they're just on Twitter. So it's really kind of a level playing field to reach out to people and to get advice or help or questions.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, thanks a lot for sharing this with us.
Yeah, of course. I hope I can encourage anybody who's listening to try Twitter, at least see if it's something for you. Because if it is, then it can really make a difference and change your life.
Yeah, thank you. And if people would like to find you or find you on Twitter or anywhere else? Yeah,
of course. Have to drop the Twitter handle. So it's just Courtney _Herms. Herms. I don't know if I should spell it.
I will put it in the show notes.
Yeah, let's do that. Yeah. But yeah.
Okay.
So hope to see you guys online sometime. And if you have listened to this, please, send me a tweet or something. I would love to know if
that'd be nice.
If this has reached you.
Yes. Yeah. Thank you very much for this interview.
Yeah. No, thanks for having me.
I enjoyed it. Thank you. Welcome back. I hope you enjoyed this episode with Courtney and maybe even feel inspired to give Twitter a try and to use it in a new way or to use it at all. When Courtney said that she was so nervous before sending her first tweet, I could relate so much because when I posted for the first time about this very podcast that you're listening to right now, my heart rate was definitely, I think, not in a healthy range anymore. I felt it was bursting my chest, but yeah, it's getting easier, and eventually it actually turned into me enjoying sharing new episodes, obviously, otherwise I wouldn't be doing it still. And yeah, if it feels uncomfortable at first, I promise it won't stay like that forever, but only if posting is something you want to do, obviously, you should try it. If it's not for you, then you shouldn't do it. But feel encouraged to try it if there's something in you that would kind of like to, get out there and use your voice. on social media. We would love to hear your thoughts, so drop us a message or a comment. And I'm and Courtney, we both wish you all the best. And I'm looking forward to welcoming you here again the next time. Take care until then. All the best. Yours, Miriam.